What is up, guys? Welcome. So, we are here. It's my brother Christian,
What's going on?
and here to answer some basic questions that we hear all the time. Usually, people coming up to us at the gym or we're here at work, stuff like that.
Just basically the most frequently asked, stuff to gain mass, things to eat, how to lose fat, and stuff like that. So we're just going to go
Gaining
into
muscle
it.
tissue. Yeah, let's get into it.
All right,
Definitely, bro.
guys. So the first question is going to be, what's the best way to lose fat?
I mean, there's many ways you can go about losing fat. Obviously, the only real ways is going to be in being some sort of deficit. You have to be in deficit in calories overall to lose fat. Obviously, it does come down to your nutrition, your diet, everything that you are eating, your macronutrient intake as well. But overall, losing weight, period, you have to be eating in a deficit. Like based on your basal metabolic rate and the activity you're taking, the activity that you're doing per day is going to dictate how many calories you need or how many calories you're expending per day. And based off of that, you can basically find out how much food you need to eat to facilitate weight loss. If you can nail that, well, you're losing weight, no matter what.
So like if I find out how much food I need to eat, so basically I need to eat like 1,500 calories a day. If I just start only eating 1,500 calories, would that be a good way to start or would that be bad?
Overall, if you're trying to lose weight, I would say maybe bump it up 100, 150, 200 calories to take into account maybe the activity you have throughout your day, even if you're sedentary. But right there, pretty much, yeah. If you want some aggressive weight loss, you can definitely hit 1,500 calories a day and experience weight loss.
Do you think it would be better for me to instead of just immediately starting out on a diet, basically count the calories of what I eat normally in a day and then figure out how much I should cut down instead of just straight up cutting it all out and going to what I should eat, only in the day,
Like
for example,
strictly.
yeah, if I'm pairing this with exercise, if I should I would it be better if I just eat what I ate normally for the first day, count it all up and then cut maybe 200 calories out, or would it be better to just start eating only what I should eat, in that period of the day, what my body
Right.
basically requires, the minimum amount?
Right. Well, again, it is going to depend on the person, you know. But like, if you were asking me, for you, for example, like I already know we can extrapolate from looking at your data, you know, that you already eat at near baseline and you already have high activity levels, you know. But in order for you wanting to lose weight, or someone who is like bigger wanting to lose weight, like let's say we're losing weight, we want to lose that weight very quickly. We're definitely gonna have to cut calories in some fashion. My idea would be, if you're asking me personally, to let's see what you're eating every day on your normal habitual level. Let's count the macros, let's count the calories, and see where you're really going wrong there. If it's something that's just in your normal eating habits and you're just taking way too much sugar, way too much carbs, we can correct that. We can start mitigating and seeing what those percentages are and gauge what you really need. You may not be even getting enough protein for how much exercise you're doing to facilitate you continuing to lose weight by continuing muscle protein synthesis. So there's a couple of different ways that a lot of this kind of plays out into, and overall, it is going to be cutting out calories. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you're going to take in a certain amount of calories just to live, based no matter what you do, however you do it. If it's 100% carbs one day, well, that's if that was the only thing on the planet at that time, well, you just did that. You know what I mean? But if you wanted to lose weight and that was your only source, you would have to eat less of it. You know what I mean? And that would facilitate your weight loss.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's only meat on the planet and there was just a bunch of dead cows, you know what I mean? And just everything got shot to shit and there was a bunch of dead meat everywhere, well, you'd have to eat protein for straight up 10 days. Well, you're eating 100% protein. If you eat less protein, you'd be able to keep as much mass, fat or muscle. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because you have to have those calories in to keep mass, fat or muscle tissue. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So, for a standpoint of someone who's, say for yourself, already has a lot of muscle mass,
Right.
but they're just trying to cut that small amount of fat without losing the mass, what would you say is better for losing that amount of fat? Would it be to gradually decrease your calories, or just to be like fixing some things in your diet, tuning it to make it like better for you, more healthy?
Well, where I'm at, you're already eating very routinely a certain amount, certain foods at certain amounts on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So you kind of are already used to your high calorie expenditure with your lower calorie intake, and you're used to having that low insulin level, that low blood sugar. So you don't really have too much of an appetite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're not really like gorging, and then when you do gorge, you really can't eat that much because your stomach is just not used to holding that amount of food at once. You know what I mean? So it's really hard at once you've been trained to at that point to super gorge. But at that point, if you want to continue to get leaner, continue to get leaner, and the main thing is you just want to be stable while during the process. You know.
Stable like consistency, right?
Yeah, and consistency. Like there's gonna be a point where you're only gonna be able to cut like 50 calories a week. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have to be very careful with your exercise. You're gonna have to be very careful with how much extra running or anything that you be doing to a degree where it can get that meticulous. You know what I mean? Where it's like it's literally calorie in versus calorie out at every turn. But um, like super competitors, they get like that. They get that serious. Absolutely.
So basically, if I mess up anywhere with, diet and exercise, I can lose like a significant amount of muscle mass because my body's gonna want to compensate for, something else. Like I'm not getting enough calories to sacrifice the muscle. It's just gonna give that up to maintain.
Right.
You know.
Like let's say right now you're getting maybe 160 grams of protein a day, every day. Your body's pretty much used to that. Uses that for muscle protein synthesis. You get maybe 300 grams carbs a day, give or take. You know what I mean? Depending on how much. And you get a decent amount of fats and whatever the fuck you cook with. You know what I mean? Whatever, good shit. Whatever spreads you use. Yeah. Pretty reasonably consistent, right? Well, bro, if you went and cut all your protein out, your body would not like the change that you had. You would have fuel, you'd feel real good, but you'd start feeling real sloppy, real shitty, and your performance would decrease very rapidly. You know what I mean? You'd still be alive, but then you start looking real skinny fat real fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know
makes
what I mean?
sense.
So you don't want to drastically play with your macros too much, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's keto dieting, there's intermittent fasting, there's all kinds of diets, the Atkins diet, everything like that. I mean, every diet works because they're restricting something. Maybe it's something that it's what is your bane of existence, like carbs. Well, if you know that you are super into loving carbs, and you're a super carby love person, maybe a keto based diet isn't the best idea of a diet for you. You know what I mean? Where you're replacing all your carbohydrates with fat. You know what I mean? And taking in very low protein as well. You know what I mean? It's a good fuel source once you get through the ketosis and into the phase, but getting there, a lot of people feel like shit, and they don't like the way they feel. Me, I don't really like being in ketosis, even though I do have around low levels of body fat. I'd rather just fast than feast later in the day. I don't know about you.
So for the people who don't know, like, could you explain keto like dieting for them?
Yes. So basically, your body is used to using carbohydrates as its main energy source, as its long-term energy. You know. So we like over time, our bodies have gotten used to basically the mutations in the liver to process all of that with the protein and the fats in the diet. We're not used to taking in super low amounts of protein. You know what I mean? Like if I had to give a person a number on protein, it would be about their dry lean mass in protein twice a day, give or take. Would be their minimal muscle protein synthesis protein requirement. You know what I mean? To maintain whatever muscle they had. So it's a very low number, and you can play with the rest. But when you cut out all the carbohydrates in your diet, you know what I mean? You're cutting it to below 5% of what your caloric intake is. Your body has to change the way the fuel is used. You know what I mean? So it has to change the fuel source as well. You know what I mean? So all the fat you're taking in, well, that's the next best fuel source, because that's the hierarchy basically in fuel sources. It's carbohydrates is number one, fats, then protein. You know, everybody loves protein because it's like the shit, because it builds muscle and recovers muscle tissue, blah blah blah. But it's the worst as far as using as uh,
Energy.
energy. You know what I mean? So it wants to use carbs first, and then it wants to use fats. So once you start using fats, your liver has to change the way it's producing all the enzymes, and then it starts producing ketones to assimilate fat to use as the energy source. You know what I mean? And then once you start doing that, you start burning a lot of fat. And once your body starts getting used to burning a lot of fat, you start burning all the excess visceral fat. You know what I mean? And then you can lose a lot of weight really fast. But that whole process, you know what I mean? A lot of people
You basically
crash
have to
on.
like change your body's like habits.
Yeah, and to change the way your body kind of works in a way.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, could you explain intermittent fasting for someone who wouldn't know?
Like intermittent fasting, you just choose a window of the day where you don't eat, and then you have a window of a feasting window, and that's when you choose to get all your nutrients and calories in. You know, for example, what I do to start my fast in the morning is I start with a quad shot espresso. You know what I mean? Just black. You know, once you get, I use that to start my day, because since I'm not gonna be eating all the way until maybe 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when I wake up at like 6:37, I blunt my hunger immediately when I wake up with the black coffee, because you have elevated growth hormone levels at that point in time, so you're very, very anabolic. You know what I mean? So I want to burn some extra fat in the morning. My body's been anabolic. I've been fasting all night. Let me continue to fast through the day. You know what I mean? So that's when I'll take all my supplements. You know what I mean? Technically, drinking BCAA would break a fast, but if I do feel like I need something and I'm like about to die or something, I will consume some BCAA. But technically that would break a fast. But in my opinion, like, I don't really care about that at that point. It's just hydration for me. I want to continue to feed my muscle that is, I feel like, is degenerating at that point. And then once I get to, after the into the feeding window, that's when I'll consume my calories. But a lot of the other benefits from intermittent fasting come from being in that fasted window. Since you are fasted, you become more alert, you become more focused. Once you blunted that appetite, you know what I mean? You just have like a different drive about you. You know what I mean? And nothing else is kind of like bothering you. And you just don't feel like you need to snack on other distractions. You know what I mean? You feel less distracted overall. I just love the mental boost that I get out of it every day. And then I love at the end of the day having to be able to fill in my macros with looking at all the possible food options. You know what I mean? So I just kind of eat whatever I want at that point and still come under my calorie requirements.
And would you say intermittent fasting is something that's like would be easier for someone who's like a more experienced lifter, like someone who already like has their diet down and stuff like that, and like knows what they can and can't eat, or like knows like how their diet works for them?
Yeah.
As experienced like a beginner lifter, someone like me or someone who's starting out, would you recommend intermittent fasting for someone who's starting out?
I mean, I would like to talk to the individual. If there's something that's coming from a more of a bodybuilding background, where they're kind of used to eating like 6 meals a day, and they're very meticulous about their nutrition. Maybe intermittent fasting is a little too easy for them, and they like sticking to a regimen. But they would definitely reap some benefits from intermittent fasting, because they might hit some micronutrients and phytonutrients that they're not getting from normal food, or the food that they prepare for themselves every day. And then for like a beginner, for example, if they were definitely like overweight, and that was and they know they had a snacking issue, I would definitely look a little more into it, and I'll give it a shot. Give it a shot, because if we can just separate the amount of time you are in front of food, you know what I mean, and I can get you more focused throughout your normal daily activities, and you can experience a mental boost throughout the day to be more productive in whatever you're doing, Like, why not? That just improves your quality of life, you know what I mean? And then you're gonna achieve the physique or weight loss goals that you're looking for, you know? Like, I'm continuing to still see results even at, 9 years in lifting and nutrition, losing body fat, you know what I mean? Like, literally at 4% body fat, and I feel great.
And so you want to give a camera a shot of what 4% looks like?
Dry lean muscle mass.